because I dedicated my life to kids, and I'm able to fulfill it to a lot of sisters and people that love kids also. Child. This is something you can look at when you get an opportunity. This is an application that I put in. I don't know why the Lord prepared that thing for me this morning, but He did. But this was a volunteer application for registration that I put in at Land Lakes High School, 3rd month, 8th day, 1994. I spoke there about 6 months, and a bunch of school teachers thought it was very important that I be placed on the volunteer group because they wanted to keep me. So when my application went to the school board, a school superintendent come to him to speak to a bunch of kids, which was at Pineview Middle School. His name was Mr. John Long. And the next day, Mr. John Long offered me a job in an automobile. He's going to create a title for me, and that really kind of angered Harry. So, but I didn't know that that fight was going on until later on. So, but it was only going to be a part-time job, but he wanted me to really impact kids the way that was going. Also, I brought another letter so that anyone have any kind of doubt, can check these things out about the security. This is April the 4th, 1994, from Neil Armstrong Elementary School. I hadn't seen this in four or 5 years, maybe longer. And it says, Mr. Harry Wright, Mr. Sylvester Peoples, dear friends, I regret I am late in sending you this letter of commendation for your recent work at our school among our elementary children. Nevertheless, our gratitude for your visit is sincere indeed. Ever since I first heard about Sylvester's previous work with Johnson's, I have wanted to have him come to our school. I often see these young children face such difficult problems in their families and in their neighborhoods, and with peer pressure. The issues need to be dealt with in a clear and forthright manner, warning them of consequences of their own choices. I saw that Sylvester did this in such an effective manner as he shared in our assemblies, his own heart-wrenching experiences. Also, as he visited the classroom, our youngsters had opportunities for individual questions, close personal contacts. I believe these experiences will help them when they face hard decisions in their lives. I understand that you have previously gone only to middle schools or high schools. However, from our experience, I can say that the presentation was appropriate for students in grade 3 through 5. In fact, I believe it is even better to help students know how to cope with problems at these earlier ages. Their minds are open and impressionable, and this may prevent their making wrong choices that lead to a life of crime. Once again, sincerely thanks to Sylvester for the staff and students at Neil Armstrong Elementary for sharing the gifts of your time and talent with us. Thanks to Harry for making it possible. We hope that we'll see you again soon. Yeah. That was 1994. This was February up in detention. When you can tell somebody the truth, and you know that you told the truth, and you hope that maybe that you can touch somebody, that maybe they can really understand that you reached out and shared with them something that's harder than everything you can experience, and they accepted it. But when they write a letter and tell you what you said, then you know that you made contact with that person, and it's always rewarding. I sleep at night behind it and everything else. Dear Sylvester Peoples, my name is Ananiah, and I am glad I'm getting blind. Look how big she wrote us, you can see. I'm glad you came and shared your lifetime story. You made me realize that I don't want to go down the path you went. Down and then you went down, and I'm going to be a good girl. Come, man,
and you got to remember who these are coming from. Their handwriting and their vocabulary is not always. I don't want to go down the path that you went down, and I'm going to be a good girl. I came to you before we left, and your last words were, change your life around. And I leave Friday, February 3rd, and I just wanted to thank you. Thanks for everything. and I hope to see you again. Sincerely, Ayana. Dear Mr. Peoples, thank you for coming to the detention center and sharing your life story with me. It helped me a lot. Every day I live and will be thinking about how your story has changed the way I think about the road I am going down. Thank you a lot, because what you said made me think about how prison would be like, and I don't want to go up and end in the dark, lonely, cold place like that. Sincerely, Ronnie.
You know, if I'm feeling down or disgusted, I can go back and look at that. But the reason I'm here is to share with this group is the fact that I, some kind of way, believe that we have the same thing in common. I can remember speaking to kids in prison at Zephyr Hills Correction Institution. I used to go out to many, many schools and detention centers and halfway homes in handcuffs and shackles. And that's why I had to go into the schools. High school students basically thought it was a joke that I was a cop in disguise. But after I began to speak and the things that were occurring, they began to listen. And I was always able to touch people. So I was able to speak to kids for many, many years at Zephyr Hills Correction Institution. Bad crime went off, and if a person, a young kid, get involved in crime, and I'm going to tell you how you can watch out for young kids getting involved in crime. If you have young kids basically in middle school, and they start meeting new friends, when they start bringing them to your home and telling you that, Mom, this is my new best friend, then you got to really, really watch out. Number one, that kid's probably chasing everything out in your house. And I'm not going down on kids. I love kids, and I don't want them to do these. And the next thing they know when you're going on vacation, they know what time you buy medication, they know where it's going to be at. And those are the kids that make your kids look bad because they call it friendship. Unfortunately, sometimes these kids will only trust another kid. They just disregard their parents and don't believe a word that they say, and another kid, they accept what they say is law. I can testify to that because that's the way I was. I couldn't read and write. I never thought an education was important. You know, how can somebody make up their mind like that and think that an education ain't important? And that's the only tool that we have that we can present ourselves with to survive. I tell them about games. I warn them about games. I tell them a gang member is lower to the ground than a snake. And I'm telling you, a snake crawls on his belly. A kid that go around and be inspired to be a gang member is a lonely, hurtful kid. They want to be accepted, looking for somebody to accept them. Hey, look at me. I did this in the streets. Guys, these are cigarette burns. I wanted attention sitting in bars, putting a cigarette on my, just so somebody could come and look at me as a kid. So I explained it. I have a way to explain this to kids that they truly understand. Some of them involved in things like that most people don't even realize. But there they come. There they come up. Basically through peer pressure. Sometimes it comes off of divorces. Sometimes a family will move from California to Maine to save their kid from trouble. And it lasts for 6 or 7 months to lose their job, their home, and everything else. And this kid don't understand how much money it costs, because they don't care. All they realize is saying that you took me away from my family. They begin to hate their parents. Prime example, a kid got out of prison 6 or 7 years ago, went to this Christian woman's house, met a beautiful daughter, and she called it love, and it ended up being murder. Killed her mother. Why? So kids are important to me because I know what the consequences are for them in prison, because in prison is where all bad people go. It's full of evil, angry, mean people that don't want to live. Who would want to go there? I explain to kids that there's nothing there, that it's only cement and steel. That's all there. There's no real food. All the food is synthetic. They believe, other kids tell them that detention centers and halfway houses and drug centers are playgrounds, and they'll get out of these places and go tell other kids it was a piece of cake. They don't even realize that they didn't have their freedom. They won't tell the truth. Hey, I didn't have my freedom. Another reason I told them is because of basically pornography. Pornography is extremely dangerous, poison thing. Especially for kids that already got to watch your kids up there playing out in the woods. Everybody should keep their kids a lot closer to them than they ever been, basically, for wild animals that are grabbing anymore and eating them. But you got the All types of people saying that it's caused all types of drugs, and I can't figure it out in society, guys. I'm telling you. I've been out of prison 16 years, and I still can't fathom when I was arrested why people had burglar bars on their doors and windows. I thought they were jails. Basically, I'm still social retarded. I'm still learning a lot. I learned mostly from kids what the world is all about. I explained to them about the prevalence of rape, which is a common thing inside of prison. Correctional officers are more vicious than prisoners. Can you imagine correctional officers being more vicious than a prisoner? You know why? They outnumbered 1 to 100. They promote prejudice between each other for inmates too, so they can have distractions, so that they can work. It's psychological warfare. They have to present these things to people that are there, because basically all another prisoner is doing is preying on a weaker person. When I was at this elementary school down in Charlotte County, there was a Orthodox priest there. He was a guidance counselor, and he went up against the walls. You're not going to bring somebody here to speak to these elementary kids that have committed a crime like that. I would sue everybody in this county and state. I didn't know this principal, but she said, all right, I'm going to the school superintendent, the school board representative, and you going with her. She did. Next thing I was knowing is they're speaking. The same priest talked to other priests throughout the state of Florida, contacted a powerful priest in Newport Richey, a Greek priest, that called me in to come and speak to their kids. See, people don't know that these problems are in all families. I don't care what kind of umbrella you put over it, it's there. I spoke to all the kids, and all the kids were so excited down there. This priest really became excited about what I was sharing, because I was not supposed to be able to communicate with these kids. But there was one big area where these 6 or 7 students was in. They called them emotionally handicapped. There was 8 teachers in there against, maybe 8 or 9 teachers in there against 4 or 5 students, maybe 6 students. And I actually, one of the people that was with me, I said, what is that? They said, I don't know, but they really want you to come in. They think you're some kind of important person. And all the kids would see me talking. Well, I started from 3rd grade and went to the 5th. So she asked me, the principal came to me and said, you got to go in and speak to these kids. I walked in. The reason I went in there is because kids think they can get away with things. I've seen handicapped people in prison, emotionally handicapped people in prison, in wheelchairs, doing time for committing crime because they thought they could get away with it. The abuse that they incur is absolutely unreal because they're the weakest. But people think they can get away with it. This guy I saw in the paper this morning that is up for a sex crime. People, guys that are involved in that stuff, girls that are involved in that stuff, have no idea that that's a death sentence to get convicted of that stuff. Number one, your picture's in the paper. The inmates take it out, put it in their lockers so that they can recognize when you come there. Basically, the only thing that you can do is cut your hair off. But those guys will recognize a sexual predator. And they will let them live for a couple of years, but they will beat them almost to death every time they catch them. Then they'll take them out, send them to a horse pillar, let them heal for a couple of years, and then they send them to another prison. As soon as they're there, they do the same thing to them. They rape them, they beat them for hurting children, and then they kill them. Sexual predators never get an opportunity to ever be the same. But I found out that those people are extremely smart, those people are extremely wise, those sexual predators. You know, I'm not judging people. I'm not here to get down on anybody or change anybody's mind about how you feel or think about anything. Take care of your kids. Be an example for your kids. Kids with younger sisters and brothers have no idea that younger sister and brother, for example, you guys sisters and brothers?
Yeah.
So, do you like this guy to come to your room? You like her to come to your room? See, it's love, L-O-V-E, and that's where it starts at, because basically, one brother, not a girl, but likes what his sister does, like her friends. They never tell her, but if she does something wrong, he will do the same thing. Likewise, if he got a smaller brother and sister that's watching him. Parents don't realize that these kids are watching each other. But they create bad things sometimes. So you got to pay attention, especially to their friends. I I would like to keep going deeper in what I'm speaking of, but I know that time is short. There's a lot of things that I didn't have the opportunity to share, and it's impossible for me to do it, but I want to answer any question that anyone have to ask me. I will tell you the absolute truth to any question that anyone have to ask me, and that way I'll know that you heard what I said. Any questions about it?
What caused you to turn your life around?
I went into prison, and I didn't realize that human beings were so vicious. I didn't realize they were so mean. I got in trouble with a man over a woman, argument over a woman, and he told me that he was going to kill me. I tried to run and hide, and he tracked me down. I ended up in prison. Long story short, the judges and everybody that was involved in my case eventually threw everything in on me being released. It's called railroad in the system. Unfortunately, I didn't have the money when I was young. But I did learn that human beings are the most important thing in life. No one has the right to take a person's life. I don't care who you are. You do not have the right to take a life. If you can't give life, why should you want to take life? So I began to build my foundation on those beliefs, and I began to see what was really happening in there, and I didn't want to be there. I wanted out. I wanted to escape. I wanted to commit suicide. There was a lot of gang rapes going on in there. You know, I was in a place where there was a bunch of human beings. Even though the rooms are this small, when you're locked up at night, you should be able to go out and be able to walk down the compound. But if you're walking to a blank wall like that, and there's a corner around that corner, you better stop. You can't walk on the grass because that's an infraction. The first thing that I found out about an infraction is that you do not disobey a verbal order. You know, I never realized that you could get banged up so bad for disobeying a verbal order, but the prison guards want you to understand that. When they tell you to do something, you are going to do it. Ain't no talking back. You cannot open your mouth to say anything against what they say. Automatic. I had 4 broken ribs. My teeth were kicked out. My testicles was big as basketballs. And they drugged me to a cell and left me to die. You know what it was about? Disobeying verbal order at RMC when I first went in. They said, don't cross the yellow line, and they made sure everybody didn't cross the yellow line. They had about 70 of us in there stripped naked. You're talking about humility. You talk about being bad, then you see how bad you are if you end up in that place. And when the doors close, it's nothing like you never heard before. And the further you go down, the more doors close, it felt like they're putting you in a place that you're never going to see light again. And that's basically what it was. And when the third door closed, here I was, 24 and a half years old, began to cry for my mother, the woman that loved me and told me, if I didn't do this, this is going to happen to you. If you don't do this, this is going to happen to you. And I fell on the floor crying and screaming. And I fell across that line. Didn't matter about me crying and screaming. It was over. They ran and grabbed me, snatched me around, and took me down the hall, slammed me in the cell, and almost killed me. 2 days later, they come up with a big fire hose and stuck it in on me until I needed a shower. And it slammed up against the walls. It knocked me out. The pain was so bad I couldn't understand. People have no idea. People think prison is a country club. Long time ago, helicopters went over and inmates were out working out, playing basketball and sports, and they said, those people not working, they're out enjoying it. They're just having fun. It was a big political lie. Those people had worked all night. Prisoners work every day, 12 to 14 hours a day. Those prisoners that was out there working out, when they came by and made that big lie, went to work at 2 o'clock in the morning and worked 11 o'clock the next day. They did the food service. They worked in the laundry. They did cleaning and houses cleaning in those buildings. So you had 600 inmates out there working out, and you had 600 inmates working. And that's the way they control them, because they know where you are all the time. But they saw a way to make prison more punishable, because they thought that if they applied more punishment on the prisoners, that they would take away crime. But it didn't. It made it even worse. And unfortunately, that's what happened. Sometimes we can't see those things. Thank you for the question. No more questions? Hey, I got a lot of information, guys.
You speak very well now, let me tell you.
Hey, especially about kids. I mean, you might know somebody that you would like to get some advice to, you know? If you got an opportunity to help somebody now, you'll be helping somebody for the rest of your life. It won't ever stop. Yes, sir.
You say you didn't know how to read and write when you went in.
No, I was 35 years old when I learned how to read and write. I become a liar, habitual liar. Every word that came out of my mouth was a lie. I thought it was easy to tell a lie. If I saw a person walking down the street with a nurse uniform on, I considered them to be a doctor. And I would just try to have a conversation with them and tell them, hey, I was a doctor too. Isn't that sad that you mess yourself around with so many bad choices that you go around and you think you can just say things and make it up, and that's the way it is? That's the way it is. I learned how to read and write. I went to college. I got an education. I went to college for 2 different courses. But I count it all joy. The most important thing I learned about was to love human beings. And ain't nobody can take that away from me. Absolutely no one. Questions? Come on, I know them little got questions.
And other activities, though, you did while you were in prison, you were involved in other
Yes, I was
groups.
After I got my education, I became elected JC president, Junior Chamber of Commerce. You know, that's a tough job being a president of an organization. And let me tell you something. You talk about personalities. You talk about different personalities. You have to treat each person as an owl. That's because I had to study the books to learn how to be a president, to be an effective leader, to be successful as an organization. And I learned how our organization was based upon helping. But in order to help somebody, you had to equip yourself with education. You had to learn communication dynamics, personal dynamics, time management dynamics. You had to learn personal finance dynamics. You had to learn all those things. And you had to have them down to a T. And we took our test and we passed it. Long story short, we won the Henry High Giesenbauer Award twice. Recently, people came in and took our flag that we pledged allegiance to, put it on the space shuttle, sent it up in space, and it came back to us. We go think. That's how much people cared for us, because that's how effective we was in the communities around us. A house burnt down, and we heard about it. Kids needed food or Christmas, and we as a JC organization heard about it. I helped create ways to build capital. I realized that we needed money to be able to make a difference inside and outside of the JC chapter. I started collecting aluminum cans from the soda machines, and people started donating the different stuff that we had to work to make available. If you're not a trustee, you couldn't go out there and bend the mill and stuff up. You had to be trusted in order to be successful, and I was. So we won against the whole United States and the whole nation. We won the Henry High Giesenbauer Award, and we won, I can't really call his name right now, but we won the most prestigious award that could be awarded to a JC chapter. It was so important that I got a letter from every senator, every House representative in the state of Florida at that time. It happened here to me. Every Pasco County, every county commissioners, every county commissioner sent me a letter. It was called a proclamation. I lost it because of storage loss. A proclamation. And they started off, I hereby, and the things that they were saying was so exciting to me. They brought it to me to the restaurant. 4 of them came to eat lunch in the restaurant, and they brought it out there, and they stood up, and the chairman of the Pasco County Commissioner was there. I think there's maybe one of the commissioners still around. I don't know if she got elected or not, but I kept up with county commissioners out there. I thought that they cared that much for kids. I also had an opportunity to be speaking at schools, and they had a very powerful sheriff here. Now, you know, law officials and criminals don't supposed to mix up no kind of way, but I went to the school in Zephyr Hills, and it was a high school, and this sheriff was speaking. And I had met the chief of police in Hillsborough County, Benny Holder. He came out to meet me. He wanted to get me involved in speaking more and more. He's another person that cared about kids. He bought me lunch at another guy, and I thought, man, here's the chief of police that's concerned about kids. Buying the meal, you know, I'm asking Lord, what am I up for here? This is really great. Long story short, I saw the sheriff in Pasco County at another school. And he was more effective. And he said, and you know what he said this time before he left the kids? He said, there's somebody coming up here to speak to you kids that I pray to God you listen to. And this man was the sheriff. He was the sheriff of Pasco County. And I seen him out speaking to schools. You talk about an inspiration. I saw him maybe 5 or 6 times. Basically all of it did was just kind of wave at each other and not acknowledge, because I still have fear of law enforcement officers, because there's no good results if you cross the trail. But anyway, hey, come on, guys, stop. Any more questions? I know we're running out of time, guys, and I kind of.
Yeah, one question.
I see your love for people every Monday, so I appreciate what you do.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Hey, guys, good luck. I hope I didn't take anything away from you. I hope I didn't.
Sylvester, thank you. And, I think it might be almost as good as